I think every male college student's dream came alive when they saw this movie. Yeah, I'm about 95% sure of that, for sure. Anyway, hey there guys, what's up? It's Autobot Mike 18 here, back with another one of my old movie reviews. Guys, I know it's been about a week since my last old movie reviews, and I know a lot of my most recent ones were on the Mission Impossible series, but that's because I had to review that series and get it done and ready for the release of Rogue Nation. But now I'm going back to like a lot more of the classic films that I'm still trying to watch and catch up on. And I only do this series in the summer, and we're now in August, so I've got about 3 weeks left to do old movie reviews. I'm trying to watch a classic movie every single day of the week, of every day of the week, in order to, you know, keep putting out reviews for you guys. So guys, the old movie review that I have for you today in this video is for The Graduate. That's right, guys. The Graduate was released back in 1967. This movie is pretty old. And it was directed by Mike Nichols, and I believe it was nominated for 7 Oscars, and the only thing it ended up winning was Best Director for Mike Nichols. So, yeah, I heard a lot of good things about The Graduate going into it. I know a lot of people said there were a lot of, like, iconic moments, and this was a really, like, almost, like, revolutionary story. I think this is, like, one of those movies where what actually happens in the story was, like, one of the first times we've seen that in a movie, you know. And this is back in 1967. So I definitely got excited to watch The Graduate. I actually just recently picked this up on Blu-ray a couple weeks back. And I decided to watch it. Now I'm going to get into my thoughts on it right after. I will get into my thoughts, but first I want to get into the synopsis behind The Graduate. The film centers on young, recent college graduate Benjamin Braddock, and in this movie he is played by Dustin Hoffman. Now he's just graduated from college, he returns home, and at this point he's really uncertain about what to do with his future. He doesn't know what direction he should take, he doesn't know what to do with his life. It's making him very anxious. He's a very like shy, sort of awkward person because of this, and during a graduation party that his family is throwing for him, one of his family friends, who goes by the name of Mrs. Robinson, in this movie she's played by Bancroft, asks Benjamin to drive her home one night when her husband's not there. So he does so, and she starts to come off to him in a like seductive sort of way, and she eventually tells him that she wants to seduce him. You know, she's sort of, you know, attracted to him in a way, and he doesn't know how to react to this. You know, still uncertain of what specifically to do with his life. All of this eventually makes him decide to start up an affair with Mrs. Robinson, which is what he does. And things are only going to go downhill after then, because obviously he's sleeping with a married woman who has an attractive daughter that might just be interested in him, and he might be interested in her. Things are only going to get more awkward from there, guys. So guys, that, my friends, is basically the synopsis behind The Graduate. And think about it, this movie was released in 1967, okay? So having this sort of premise in a movie, like, this is like a first time thing, okay? Like, I think a lot of people went to the theaters, and this movie's rated PG, by the way, not like there was any nudity or anything like that, but a lot of people went to the theaters, and I don't probably think they were quite expecting what they were going into it, because this is like she is a legitimately older woman, probably in her late 50s, early 50s, and he is in his early 20s, and the two of them start having an affair on a regular basis at night. So obviously a lot of people are like, damn, does this like even really happen? You know, like, this is the first time that, I mean, of course this stuff happens in real life, but this is like the first time we're seeing it unfold on screen, I bet, back in 1967. I'd have to do my research, but I'm pretty sure this is one of those first movies where you have an older cougar type woman sort of attracted to a younger male and she wants to sleep with him. And guys, I must say this much about The Graduate. This film is so relevant, and so it has a great sense of portraying its subject matter, okay, which is specifically fear of growing up or fear of going out into the world. And that's why I feel this is such a relevant movie, and it's a movie that a lot of people should actually watch. I think it's a really fascinating coming-of-age story, actually. It definitely is. And it's one of the more important ones, because a lot of the coming-of-age stories we see mainly focus on high school students, you know, dealing with certain demons or whatnot. One of the best ones, it's even about middle school age students, and that's Stand By Me. The Graduate is a different coming of age story in that it deals with a recent college graduate and his fears about going out into the world. And that's why I feel this is a very relevant, very important movie. And at the same time, it's very entertaining and kind of funny to watch. Like, this movie actually kind of works as a comedy. I ended up laughing quite a couple times in this movie. Just the overall scenario that he gets himself into. There are a lot of funny scenes where Benjamin is just very awkward about the whole thing. There's a great scene where he's in the hotel and he just doesn't know what to do. This is going to be the first time he's going to sleep with Mrs. Robinson. There's just great moments like that that really worked for me in the movie. I think the last act of the movie had some really funny moments, and that's why The Graduate is just, like, it's a funny movie and it's entertaining to watch in that sense, but it also carries a very important message that is the central theme of the movie, the central core of the movie, and it's what to do with your life down the road when you start to get out there. It's about young adolescents and the responsibilities that they have to face and deal with after college and after they hit a certain age in their lives. And I think that that's why The Graduate is such an important film and why it spoke to me on a personal level. And I'm not in, like, I haven't graduated college yet, so I can't personally connect to this movie. But there aren't moments in my life where I don't sit there and say, where do I see myself 10 years from now? You know, people ask me that question all the time. So I can definitely relate to some of the pressures that the main character has to deal with in this movie. And the other great thing that I really loved about The Graduate is that it's not just a movie about an older woman who tries to seduce a young college graduate. That's not the movie. This isn't some, like, porno in disguise where this, you know, hot cougar woman tries to seduce this young kid who's very awkward yet very curious at the same time, and he's still drawn to her in a way, and they just go on like a month-long, just like endless nights of just sex and, you know, just sneaking out together. That's not what the movie is. It's much more than that, and its main focus, yeah, that's just something that happens to this kid. That's, you know, the title, The Graduate, is actually, like, the story in itself is really focused on this main character and his fears about going out into the world. This whole factor that he's just having an affair with this older woman is just a completely different thing that's happening on the side. And that's one way you can look at the movie, or you can look at the movie is that this affair is like the whole backbone of the movie. And you can agree it is, but this affair is eventually what is going to affect this person as he is. And it's going to make him either a different person, maybe possibly he'll go through some sort of metamorphosis or something, we don't really know. But, you know, I don't want to spoil anything or give anything away. But getting on from that, I want to briefly discuss some of the performances in this movie because I feel they're very natural and they feel genuine and authentic. And that's one of the best bits of praise I can give to The Graduate. Dustin Hoffman playing Benjamin in this movie, he's great, okay? He is excellent because this is a very shy and awkward young man who really doesn't know, like, how to interact with this older woman. You know, when she starts to come on to him in sort of like a sexual way, he is either oblivious to it in the beginning, but then he finally catches wind of it, and then he just feels completely awkward and it's so perfect the way that the director and Mike Nichols, I think he also wrote the screenplay. I want to say he did. No, he did not. But the director and the screenwriter both had such a great sense of portraying that sort of young, awkward adolescent who really doesn't know how to deal with this, like, forced intimacy that's being thrown upon him. And then he, you know, very inexperienced sexually and intimately, he decides to start having an affair with her. And Dustin Hoffman just pulled off an amazing performance, in my opinion. You can argue that the character got annoying, but I don't find him the least bit annoying. I really found him a really intriguing, interesting character, mainly because, not just because he gets to sleep with an older woman, he's the luckiest son of a bitch alive, but he actually has character flaws, and he doesn't know what to do with his own life, and I think that's the whole backbone of the movie, and it really, really worked for me, in my opinion. It's great to see to have scenes of him just laying in his swimming pool, not sure of what he should do, or eating cereal, you know, sort of going through this humdrum phase of his life where he just is just so like scared and confused at the same time, and it's just really great to see that unfold. Now, Anne Bancroft plays the Mrs. Robinson in this movie, the older woman who's trying to seduce him, and I think she also does an incredible job in this movie because, one, she's just not like just the older woman who's just there just for the sake of seducing him in this movie. Okay, like that's just not the purpose of her character. There is a great moment where the two of them are in bed, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but she's going on about how basically dissatisfied with some of the choices she's made in life, and it's such a great comparison or a great contrast between the decisions she's made in life when she was around his age that have affected her whole life, and the decisions that he has to make in order to set forth his life. And just that scene is one of the best scenes of the entire movie, in my opinion. And that scene, in comparison with the ending shot of the movie, is just perfect and really makes this movie stand out, in my opinion. But getting back to Anne Bancroft, yes, she's sexy as hell. She gives a great performance in that regard. She is something gorgeous to look at, and she is perfectly cast as this middle-aged woman who wants to start an affair with this boy due to the fact that she's sort of made the wrong decisions in life. And she's definitely fleshed out. She's not just this one-dimensional character who's just there to sleep with Dustin Hoffman. That's not what she's, that's not her purpose. And I love seeing that portrayed very, very well in the film. And I thought Katharine Ross, as the daughter, also did a good job. I have one major flaw with the third act of the movie, which I'll get into in a little bit. But I just want to touch briefly upon a few other things that I really liked about The Graduate. One thing for sure, Mike Nichols won Best Director for this movie, and I think that was a great call because this is a very well shot and very well directed film. There are a plethora of very long takes in this movie that aren't like overly complex shots, but they still look good on their own right. They're very well composed and they're very intricate. But that's one of the best things going for this movie. Again, going back to that scene where she's sort of telling him her life story, where they're in the hotel room in the bed. I love that one shot, how it just stays on the two of them, and they keep shutting the light off, and it's just that one shot, and you can hear their dialogue. You don't need to even see them to really feel something as that scene's ongoing. And I think Mike Nichols made a lot of really smart choices about where to place the camera in certain moments, and that's something that really worked for me. I thought the film was very, very incredibly directed. Very good job to him, and I know he just passed away recently, so I gotta definitely praise him for doing an amazing job with this movie. I also think the film is very well edited. That's one of the best things going for The Graduate. And I'm gonna praise it because in the famous scene where him and Mrs. Robinson are alone in her daughter's room, and she comes into the room half naked, and the way that scene is cut together, just the shots that are cut of him whipping his head around, those cuts emphasize just how much of an important moment that is in the film, and you feel every single one of those cuts. And I think there was a score playing in the background in that scene. I don't remember, but those shots are significant, those cuts are significant, the quick little one-frame flash cuts of her naked breasts and everything, that worked so well for me. It just really captured how nervous Benjamin was, and just how hectic sort of the moment was. And I really think shots like that work, and cuts like that work. There are some great long takes here or there in the movie, and I think the actors really did a good job keeping up with these long takes. I also think that the blocking of the actors was very, very well done. I love the soundtrack for the movie. I love the song Mrs. Robinson. We heard it all in The Wolf of Wall Street. Hearing it in this movie, which is where, it was originated, was great. And one of the best things going, yet again, for the movie is the screenplay. And I know I've mentioned this multiple times, but that's what I love so much about this movie. It's genuine, it's funny. Yes, it's utterly outrageous, especially with how certain things happen in the third act in the movie, which is kind of one of my flaws with the film, but it's not like a major thing, you know what I'm saying? But I loved overall what the film was trying to say. And I went into this movie thinking it's just going to be some affair, you know, and maybe there's something else going on. And there definitely is something else going on. It's what I've mentioned. I really don't want to get into anything else and spoil it. Also, without spoiling anything, this is probably one of my favorite closing shots to end a movie. I love it. The two-shot of two of our main characters just completely uncertain what to do with life, how things are going to go. I absolutely love it. It's basically what the film was trying to say, and it's shots like that, it's endings like that that really just get me going about movies and just get me wanting to start talking about movies. And that's why I sat down today in front of the camera and started reviewing The Graduate. All that said, guys, I really enjoyed this movie. It's funny, it's real, it's a great coming-of-age story with amazing performances, excellent direction, great cinematography, editing, soundtrack, all that really works for The Graduate. I am going to give The Graduate a solid grade of a 9 out of 10 or an A-. My only flaw with the film is that I feel the third act feels entirely rushed. Like, I get that, yeah, it's very hectic, he's trying to accomplish something, but I feel they definitely could have had more. It feels like they were, like, running over budget or something, and they just, like, needed to, like, wrap along the ending so fast, but I think they wrapped it up way too quickly. And yeah, things get very outrageous come the third act, but near to the point of being utterly ridiculous, and that's just a minor flaw I had with the movie. That said, I love the last shot, as I said, of this movie. The last two shots are just incredible in my opinion. But other than that, I highly recommend The Graduate. 9 out of 10 for me, A-. Definitely recommend it, guys. It's a great coming-of-age story that I think a lot of people should watch and definitely will feel connected to. So, guys, thank you for watching my review of The Graduate. I hope you enjoyed it. And leave me your thoughts down below on the movie if you've seen it. I'd appreciate that. And thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.